Hi, everyone.
I'm not doing
No,
anything.
don't. I'm doing the intro. Why?
I wasn't even doing anything this time.
I know.
This happens. I think now you, maybe internally, you want me to mess up.
I was starting the podcast and you
You
started
started laughing
talking.
for no reason.
I don't have to explain myself to you. That would have been cut out of the podcast. But now,
I'm an innocent human being who
oh,
has a face that his mother loves.
I'm not your journal, Chesko. Please.
Go
Anyways.
on.
Hey, friends. Welcome to the.
What up?
Stop! Welcome to the Mr. Pick Me and the Manhater podcast. I am Regan, aka the Manhater, even though I don't hate men.
Hey, Regan.
And you are driving
Not
me
doing
crazy.
well. I am Chesko, Mr. Pick Me, who's already been picked.
And also, fun fact for everyone listening, it is literally storming really bad at my house. So if you hear thunder, that is why.
And it's 94 degrees at my house.
Thanks, Chesko. Thanks
Welcome.
for bragging.
Yeah.
So, friends, today we have what, like a
grab bag.
smorgasbord?
Yeah, smorgasbord. I like that better. We have a piñata of videos that we're going to whack open and see what falls out. Theme song.
You want bad advice? Man, I'll give it out gladly. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Shit.
I love when you randomly get that perfect pronunciation. Piñata.
I'm like the newscaster. the old joke. Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to see what's going on in Nicaragua, and we're going to see.
That would 100% be you.
Yeah.
You better be careful. You're going to lose your white boy presumption if you pronounce things correctly.
It is funny that's my students when I'm pronouncing their names. Is like I still not I've gotten much better over with names because I spend time before the semester learning them. But I always pronounce the Latino names correctly with the correct pronunciation, and like they're always like, "Wait a second,
Are you?
Is it?" And they're like, "Professor." I'm like I thought it. I heard the way you said my name, and I was like, "That's not a white boy saying."
You're not like the guys at the restaurant like, "Can I please get an enchilada?"
Quesadilla?
Quesadilla. God. I don't know which is worse when they like blatantly mispronounce it or try so hard to pronounce it that it's still wrong.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyhow.
Food for thought. Anyways. All right, Chesko. What will our first video be today?
So this first one I think is really funny.
So this is a recording from a court case where a woman is the judge and a man is the lawyer speaking to said judge, and it goes awry, I would say.
A little bit.
All right, here we go. Oof, I can't keep it together.
Yeah.
Separate.
Okay, but it wasn't three separate. Let's go with what happened in the case.
But honey, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Your Honor. That I don't know what to say to that. I apologize.
Okay, go ahead.
The question here is what happened. I'm sorry, I've just been totally thrown by
I
my
can
mistake.
imagine. I can imagine. I'm a little thrown by that also, if I'm being honest.
Your Honor, I don't know what to say. It's just a...
Okay, well, go ahead. You've only got 1 minute and 7 seconds left.
The question here...
What?
Bad.
The first comment is me calling my teacher mom.
Yes. That's exactly what I thought of. I think that's the most innocent if you were to give this guy the most benefit of the doubt, it's he was just in his head and he calls his wife honey and he was having a conversation. I know that's not what I want to be clear, that's not what I believe happened. But if you want to give the most innocent viewing of this, it's calling your teacher mom.
No,
right?
Because even at its most innocent, why are you seeing
Yeah.
you're the judge who actually has more authority than you.
Yeah. That's why he freaks the hell out.
Yeah, this person has more power than you do in the situation to get into a professional argument or debate over something and immediately go to, okay, honey.
Honey, and it's true though, the way he says it is so condescending.
Yes.
There is a tone to it. It's, honey, and it's him like condescending his wife.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
honey, listen, you just don't understand. This is man stuff.
It's like, I'm frustrated. You're not getting me. Like, he immediately associates frustration with the woman to his wife. So his wife should be insulted. The judge should be insulted. And also, like, that never would happen with a male judge.
No.
I do not believe it.
No. Although that would be funny.
You lose immediately.
Honey, excuse me?
What did you say about me?
Sorry.
I don't know why the judge sounds like that. That's horrifying.
No.
Guilty.
The Southern judges.
Hey, now. You don't call me honey.
You're the honey, all right?
You're going to the jail to be someone's honey. You hear me?
Bailiff, please give the prosecutor my phone number.
Get the honey out of here. That's so wild. Like in so many ways. And then when he's like, I'm really thrown off by that. Sorry. It's like, you're thrown off.
Yeah.
You just used a pet name on the judge.
Yeah, it is rare that a video pops up and my mouth is just agape watching it. I watched it just my face the full first time watching it. The second he said it was just and watching, I was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Oh my God, what is happening?
That makes me feel like he does not speak to women besides his wife.
No.
Really?
Yeah. Or a server in a restaurant that he also calls honey when he wants to
He's a serial honeyer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't accidentally say something unless you do you say it a lot, right?
Yeah,
Unless
well,
it's something that isn't common.
It reminds me, sometimes my dad will call me by the name of one of my nieces. And I'm like, I don't like the implication. I'm childish and need things. Is that what that is? I act like a child? But when it happens, you're like, okay, because you understand the context of that, like what that has to mean, like what, or maybe the subtext of that. Maybe you have the context to understand the subtext. And that's what that is. Like, oh, so you got frustrated with me. And it's like, again, I agree with you that it had the vibe of like, I know more. Honey,
Listen,
like,
no, like, shut up. Like, that's basically what it was, right? It was like, and then he realizes, oh my God, I just said to this person that's in charge of whether or not I win or lose this case, who has so much more power and respect to me in this courtroom, who could easily just throw me out, like, or stop me from talking right now for being so condescending. Oh, and the panic, I'm not gonna lie, that part was beautiful.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
The way you could see that he knew how badly he fucked up right there, and just the absolute terror that he would not feel in any other situation, but because he's aware of the power dynamic in that situation, he is just, you could just see, it's like, oh my God.
And if you couldn't tell by what they were saying, listeners, they were on basically a running clock. So he had 2 minutes to have this exchange. And so when he screws up, the clock is just ticking away as he fumbles over his words, which was also very like perfect. Like, oh yeah, you're wasting your own time.
Yeah, what's the worst you've ever messed up in a situation like this? What's the worst accidental thing you've said in a environment that you weren't supposed to say that? I'll share. The only one I'm thinking of for me is after my daughter was born. I was so tired, right? I'm exhausted, but I had to go teach immediately because it was near the end of the semester. So I was like, I couldn't even take like a day off. I had to go straight back. And luckily my mother-in-law was visiting us, so it was like, so there was people at home that were helping, etc. But I'm at school, and we had been working with my son on potty training him, and the first day I'm like, if anybody needs to go potty, just you don't have to ask me for permission, just go. And they started giggling, and I was like, if any of you have to use the restroom, you can go. I'm like, and you could see in my eyes, I have like dark rings around my eyes. But I told my room of college students, if any of you need to go potty, just go. You don't need to ask.
I had something happen. I don't recall what I was talking about, but I accidentally said to my wife, Mom, is this about my
Yeah.
mom?
Yeah.
And she goes, what? And then I tried so hard to think of any word that could sound like mom because I was like, oh my God, why did I say that? It was so bad. It was so embarrassing. I don't know what I was saying.
I do think I've done that before too, but it's only because I refer to my wife as mommy to my kids so often that but out of context, no, that's when it's embarrassing because at home it's not the end of the world. Like, okay, mommy's gonna do this, Bob,
Yeah.
daddy's gonna do this, etc. But like where I'm referring to, oh yeah, when mommy does blah blah blah, and they're like, when mommy does
Who's
that, and I'm like,
mommy?
oh, I'm referring to my wife. You're referring to your wife as mom? Well, I mean, yeah, she's the
Sick!
mother of the three. But out of context, it feels
Yeah.
really weird to say something like that. I'm like, I'm not talking about my mom. That's weird. Why'd you make it weird?
There's a lot of slip ups. And again, I think they always mean like there's something to them. Like, why did you do that? But for in this case specifically, like you definitely feel like he has an issue with women. He doesn't take their arguments as seriously. Like, I don't know if it's because they were talking over each other, they're interrupting each other, but like to immediately associate that with your wife anytime a woman disagrees with you is wild.
Right. No,
For both
100%.
sides of it, for the person you're disagreeing with and for your wife. Like, good God.
And the fact that, like I said, the immediate, I just imagined a dog with its tail between its legs, like, just like, oh no, I made a bad move.
I told you, I think I've told you this before, but there was a film history teacher I had that was very, very nerdy, very awkward, just very awkward person. I loved him. He was like one of my favorite teachers, but he was giving a lecture one time and he was trying to say part. I think he was like saying part 4, but he ended up saying fart. He's like, this is the fart, and then he just got so
flustered
because he had said fart to a room full of college students, and then like he kept trying to talk. He's like, guys, I'm so sorry, I just said fart earlier. I can't move on from this. And I was like, I get it. If I said I would be out for the day.
It's funny. Because I fuck up talking all the time. That's not even as a communication professor. I'm bad at talking. But it doesn't. So it doesn't really. I think because I'm used to it, it doesn't throw me off too bad when I make mistakes. But it throws me off completely. Like the way people talk to me sometimes when they get too comfortable with you is always. It was more when I was a younger professor, like when I was their age, basically. And like I had a student, I think I've shared this story online. I don't think I've shared it on the podcast, but I had a student that like blatantly hit on me for her final speech.
Oh God.
It was like, and obviously now I can see that it's problem. I can see like in general it's problematic that they were doing that, but she did our wedding vows for her final speech. And
hold on. If you were to get married, what your vows would be?
What our vows would be. Like this was supposed to be in the future because their final speech is a special occasion. I let them do wedding vows, eulogies, toasts, things like that. And so she did from her wedding, here are my vows. And so she stands up and this was not the first instance of her making awkward comments to me throughout the semester. But I was 24 years old. And I didn't know how to deal with it, and so I would just go, "Okay, moving on," and I just kind of ignore it because I was like, because in my mind also, I'm like, I'm gonna get fired if I like do anything here, and so I just kind of would just ignore it, move on, and hope everyone forgot. So the last day, I made a video of this a few years back, so I apologize if any of our followers have seen this, but she is doing her wedding vows, and I used to, by the way, sit front row for my student speeches. I don't anymore, directly as a result of this.
From the trauma of this incident.
Yeah. And so she pulls out a piece of paper and she's like, today on my wedding day, I want to just be thankful that I've met you and that I've known you all these years, ever since that first day that I met you when you were the professor of my public speaking class. And I'm like, sitting there, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Once again, as a brand new professor.
Was there other kids in the room?
Yes, the whole classroom.
Oh my God. They're all like, are they having an affair? You're like, no.
and just a few months previous, I was a student. I had no teacher training. I was just that's the way that I was just thrown a class 3 months later. And so
This girl really set you up to look
oh yeah.
bad.
And she is so confident, the confidence of this young woman that staring at me, and she is making full on like and I'm just like staring at my paper like I can't look. And I think I'm probably beet red.
Yeah.
And that made her even more. The story, this is a really long story. I don't because there's more to it than this. Anyways, but I'll share that in a second. So she is seeing, and that's why I love you. Says my legal name. I'm not going to say that on the podcast. And she says, I still remember how I didn't deserve the grades that I was getting in our class, but you knew that blah blah blah. And I'm like, no.
Wow.
And
This
she goes,
sounds like she's a
no,
villain.
this was bad. And so she goes, I still remember, this is embarrassing. I still have the feedback you gave me from one of my speeches. And you wrote that I had really good nonverbals. And I think we all knew what that means. And I'm like,
Oh my God, you're getting. There's a movie about this.
now, the audience is losing their fucking mind. Because also, like I said, I had very casual relationship with my students because I'm their age, right? In this sense, it was a very chill class.
Oh
So they're
my God.
loving this. No one's seeing anything wrong with this. I'm literally sitting in my chair thinking, I'm gonna get kicked out
I'm
of grad
fired,
school.
I think, right
No,
now.
I think
Yeah.
I'm a grad student. I'm like, this is how people like lose their job. This is bad. And so she finishes her speech and walks back to a standing ovation from the class.
Oh, bad feedback.
They think it is the best thing in the world. And I obviously, as a tenured professor, as someone that's been doing this for a while, I would have stopped the speech.
Right.
I would have said something. I would have addressed it. I would have said, that's really inappropriate.
Right.
I would have
I'm not
talked
comfortable.
about it. I would not have just like moved on.
Yeah.
But as a brand new teacher with no training, no idea how to deal with the situation, I was like, all right, let's go to the next speech and we just move on. So here's the deal, though. I said this is a longer story. There were three of them. There was their little group of three friends.
Oh God.
Sat next to each other in each class. Okay. And so we're moving on. That was like the third speech of the day. It was like right in the beginning. And it's the final day of class. So I can't just like leave because they have to do their presentations. And so we're going forward. Her friend comes up and gives the maid of honor toast.
Oh my God, get me out of here.
Of me and her. No, that's right. No, she was the one that said we all knew that she didn't deserve A's on the speeches she was giving. That's right. She was the one that was saying that. The
great.
First girl was the one with the paper that said the nonverbals. This is like 18 years ago now. But as clearly it's stuck in my head still. But so she's giving this, and the audience is once again erupting. I'm surprised that another teacher didn't come in and ask us to quiet down because they were losing their mind.
They probably don't understand the implication either.
Right. Well, I'm sure they're all 18, 19-year-old college students.
This is hilarious.
This is the best thing. You don't do this to teachers, professors.
Oh, she's getting him fired.
Yep. And so she does it. Another standing ovation.
Thundercrack.
Yeah. And so, and I'm just thinking for the students, this is the best class they've ever had. For me, it's quite literally the worst day of my life. I am genuinely thinking, I guess I could move back home. I guess I could still I'm like in all the worst case scenarios here.
I bet. That's so
and
scary.
Once again, did not address it because I didn't know what to do.
What do you say?
I know. And so we keep moving forward. And so we're almost near the end of class, and I'm like, just survive. I'm like, okay, we're fine.
Live.
People aren't like there was like little giggles throughout the class, but for the most part, speeches are boring. They're not. Nobody's really settling. We've settled in. The final speech of the day was the third one of them, who waited. So she goes up to the corner of the room. She has like a bag of stuff. Turns around, has a big fake pregnant belly. I don't know where this is going at this point.
Yeah, you're like, no.
Like, no. She's giving a toast at the baby shower for the baby that she and I had conceived after I left her friend for her. And she was like, and I really want to thank, I'm not going to say her name, friend's name. I still remember all three of their names because, like I said, I just want to thank for showing up and understanding that it was our love that was true and that you were willing to, and I'm just sitting there Like, and so she does a speech, another standing ovation. Normally, at every class I've ever given, I have an end of the year spiel about how I'd like for you to use my class and like how I wish you well, and if you need letters of recommendation, all the kind of things you say at the end of a semester. I literally just said, "Thanks for a great semester, everybody," and ran out of the room, went straight to my department head's office, and I was like, "So this just happened."
Jesus, that's like psychological warfare.
I know. So I go to her office. I'm like, this just happened. And she at first she's very serious about it.
Yeah.
And she's like, did you do anything though? I was like, no.
No, I would never.
I did nothing.
I don't
And
break
so,
rules.
Yeah. I don't. We went over that in the pre-show. I am a very much a rule follower. So she finally, and then finally, once it's been established that this is completely just, she's also laughed. She's like, I promise you, you're fine. Like, and then I don't think she was trying to like laugh at my situation, but I think she was like, she was also like kind of nervous about the whole thing, but she was like, I promise you, you're fine. It's like, if you didn't do anything, you're fine.
This is dark.
I know.
Well, like they have to be very, not only to do this, but to do it for their final grade and not think, oh my God. And then can you even give them a bad grade? Because then it looks really weird.
No. Luckily, I'm a very easy grader.
That's so creepy. Because if you did it in the reverse, it would be very like, if you were a woman teaching and these men were like, we're married, and then like, oh, I impregnated you.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like they brought a pregnant belly? Yeah. That's insane behavior.
I think it was just like a sweatshirt she shoved in her.
I don't care.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. I like I said, years later, I could realize how fucked up that is, right? But it was.
I mean, it's like literally psychological trauma. Like we're all gonna, because the first one you're like, that was the worst thing I've ever experienced. Thank God that's over. The second one and the third one, there's a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm. It was.
What were they doing? Why?
Let's fuck with this grad student teacher.
Well, they probably had a crush on you was part of it, but
the one specifically, I know she absolutely, the way that she had said stuff all semester long was very clear. Like she was trying to flirt with me, and I was like,
"Ew,
no.
Go away!
Yeah,
get out of here!"
Yeah, that was the. I changed the way I taught for a while after that. I became such a hard teacher. Like I was like, this is my policies. This
no
is
one will love me.
No one will. And I mean, it always like faded like a third of the way through the semester. But I always started the semester thinking I was going to be a hard ass ever since that. And I set like such specific ground rules for that speech going forward. There, I was like, you may not address me. And I was like, that was the number one rule.
People are like, what?
I was like, I just want to be clear. I know, and that's normally people will be like, I don't. Like, well, of course I'm not gonna. I was like, I just need to be clear. You may not get. Oh no, I remember what I did. I haven't done this assignment in like 5 or 6 years. I changed the. That's right. I made it where they had to give an award. I did just an award show. I changed the entire final speech to an award show, and they had to pick a name out of a hat of one of their classmates and give the award to that. So I made it specifically that it was not possible for them to give anything that had to do with me. Where I was like, yeah, that's right. They had to give it, and I did that for like a decade.
Can you imagine if you put in there, you cannot say that we're getting married. You cannot have your friend come up and do the best of the maid of honor. You cannot have your other friend come up and pretend to be pregnant and then say that I left one for the other one. And people
it's like when you, it's like when you see warnings at pools and stuff that like that. That was that's too specific.
Somebody did that.
Somebody shit in this pool.
That's so scary. What were the afterwards? Were they just like, meh? Like, what did they, or they just went about their like, you're like, there's moments in life where you can clearly say to yourself, you're going to walk away from this and never think of it again. I will never forget what just transpired.
I literally can see every face in that classroom. Like I remember the exact classroom I was in. I remember where I was sitting. I remember where they were sitting. Like it is a memory, and I don't have a great memory. That day is absolutely etched in my permanent memory.
You changed my curriculum, girl.
Yep. Yep. Literally, that is that. Yeah.
I would have had a panic attack. I would have had hives for sure.
It was. I was not in a good. I was already not in a good place in grad school. That did not. That added to that, but that point forward I was fine. no other situations really happened like with that, but
I do feel like the fact that everybody was laughing shows that they
mhm.
didn't think it was true. Like that they thought it
No,
was a
yeah,
funny
and
joke.
if it was like, yeah, if it was
If
a
there were
genuine,
gasps,
yeah, yeah, and it's I think part of the issue is I teach comedically. I
yeah.
think comedy helps learning things, and so I think the relationship I have with students was we're a jokey classroom. It's okay to make funny jokes. But and if you're 18, you don't
Yeah,
know the line.
right.
Yeah, and also if I'm not willing to step in, I don't want to self victim blame, right? Because I am like the victim in this situation here, but as a teacher, the reason it has never happened to me again is not because I got uglier, right? It's because I know how to I've learned classroom management now, and I know how to set certain boundaries
Mm,
between.
yeah, I don't feel that. I'm gonna say no on that just
Well,
because you had your students imply you're in a relationship with them, then
yeah,
imply you give them easier grades because you're in a relationship with them, then bring a pregnant belly and imply that you've had sex with them.
yeah.
You know what? I don't think anybody can be blamed. We don't blame any victims regardless of gender,
Okay.
Chesko.
To
That
be
you
fair, I
can,
will say the first one did say in her speech, and remember, and it's all coming back to me very slowly. She said in there, I still remember the day after you submitted our final grades, you asked me on our first date. So that was in the, so she was even aware, I think, of the fact that and now I never even thought about it till you brought up these points right here. I think she was aware that this could be viewed as something bad, but that was a line in her
but she did
speech.
it anyways.
But she did it anyways. All three of them did.
That doesn't help anything.
I think you get groupthink too.
Group
Maybe I don't
mind.
know.
This will be
Yeah, we're gonna.
hilarious. Yeah,
This
it'll
will
be
be great.
hilarious.
He's so funny. He'll love this. He'll think this is
I
hilarious.
would bet she was the ringleader there, and then the other two were like, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that'll be
do
great. Let's do
it.
it. Yeah.
Yikes.
So that was. I don't know. How do I even bring that story up in this? I guess people awkwardly saying
Yes.
stuff to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So that was my honey.
I was trying to think if I have any of like people crossing,
Hmm.
like getting too comfortable. I mean, I used to work at a production company
Hmm.
and like I was really good friends. Well, I was really friendly with my writers. There was three male writers. And then I was the producer over that. So I
Hmm.
produced all because they were writing an ungodly amount of scripts and they were all young guys, probably early 20s to mid 20s.
Hmm.
And I had a good relationship with them, but they were like underpaid. We all were underpaid.
Hmm.
And they started like roasting me kind of. Like I
Hmm.
remember one time I came in a striped shirt
Hmm.
and it's kind of funny, which is annoying, because they're all writers, so their roasts were good.
God
They were
damn
good
it! It was
roasts.
actually a good burn.
Yeah, I had a vertical striped shirt, black and white stripes, and I shirt on, and I walked in, and one of my writers turns to me and he's like, "Who called?" And I was like, "What?" He's like,
Mhm.
"You know, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice." Wha- Straight shot to the heart. It was so good. But they would burn me all the time. And then finally
Yeah.
it was like I got to the point where I was like, shit, we're too comfortable now. Like
Hmm.
you would not rip on a man this way. There's
Hmm.
no way you would be roasting a man's outfits.
Hmm.
Like I happened to me all the time. I was like, damn it.
Hmm.
Now I would handle it much differently. Now I would not be down for
Right.
that. But like at the
Hmm.
time I was like, oh, we're getting a fun work
Yeah.
environment. But I was
I
like,
had. Go ahead.
no, I just meant the other producer, if they had
Yeah.
tried to roast him, it would
Right.
not have gone that
Have gone
way.
as well. I had the one time I genuinely feel bad. You've seen the way I do friendship is I'm mean to you, right? Like the way that we pick on each other, like we make fun of each other. Like in a way, I've always think it's very clear that I'm not actually making fun of you. when I do, or at least it feels like I'm not trying to be mean. Does that make sense?
I'm fucking with you right
Yeah,
now.
I know. Now I'm like feeling so nervous.
I'm not responding because I want you to sit in it for a second.
Because the story I'm about to tell you is one
Oh.
where it wasn't clear.
Oh, I think go ahead. I think I know.
I think I shared
ahead.
this with you. I don't know if I shared it on the show before.
Do it.
But there was one of my teammates I thought was like a very close friend. It was a coworker friend. It was somebody, but I would like jokingly pick on her. Nothing, it was never like about her face or anything, but just like little like, oh yeah, thanks. Or stuff like that, where it was always, I thought, very funny. 3 years into working with each other, maybe four. It was a while. We were with each other for 5 years total, but it was deep into the amount of time we were working with each other. One day I said something that was not even, it was like nothing. And she starts crying. She was like, why don't you like me? And I was like, what now? I was like, what is happening? And she was like, you're always so mean to me. And I guess that was what pushed it over. I was like, oh my God, you think everything I do. And I felt I'm like tearing up thinking about this. I felt worse than I had ever felt in my entire life at that point, because I don't do mean things. I don't, and I was certain she was in on it. I was certain she knew, because we'd worked together for so many hours, so long.
Oh my
And I was
God.
like, this is my good friend.
She's like, he picks on me every day. He hates me.
And I was thinking, luckily at that point we talked and it was fine. It was great. She realized, oh, that was not how I was. But now I'm so careful, and you've seen it with you. Even whenever I say something that is too biting, I'm like, I need you to know, I need you to know that's a joke, and that's where that comes from. Is that moment where I would just be like, but the people I get close to, like every men, women, any across the gender spectrum, I'm mean to, like, but not in like in a fun way, in a way that's like, I don't know. Maybe I need to stop. I don't know why. But
I'm the same way. If I like to joke back and forth, like it's banter. It's like fun little like
yeah.
Yeah.
It's never mean in a way of like, oh man, you're
ugly.
This is ugly. Yeah, like it's like, oh God, you shouldn't be wearing that. Like it's never anything like mean. It's just like
Yeah. I have almost the opposite of, so there's this guy that I worked with who I really liked. I was like, we are such good friends. We get along so well. I almost felt like he was like a big brother to me. I was like, we have a great friendship. I'm so lucky I have a friend at work. This has actually happened twice. Friend at work. Yay. And then literally like years, 1 or 2 years later, I was talking, so somebody I knew knew someone who was dating, so like grapevine, and they came back to me and said, they were like, oh, I was like, oh yeah, I was friends with him, blah blah blah, and they're like, that's not what I heard. I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, she was saying that he said he flirted with you all the time, that he was hitting on you this whole time. I was like, we're the best of friends. I was like, no, he was hitting on me the whole time. I can honestly say, had no idea that's what was happening, because we would rip on it. We were just like,
right.
And I was like, oh, this is what friendship is. And I was like, first of all, why did you tell the person you're dating about that? And then it got back to me. It was big enough that it got back to me. Like, I was just like,
I had a friend in college where she was a lesbian, and this is a theme where
we had a podcast.
We were wine buddies. We used to like, that was like, we would get drunk and drink wine with each other. That was like our friendship. But we were mean to each other, like in the same way. And apparently people thought we were dating at one point because they were like, "Oh, isn't that your girlfriend?" I was like, no.
She's a lesbian.
I almost said her name, but I was like, she dates women.
Do I look like a woman? I am not a woman.
Anyways, but it was like, oh God. It happened so because we were so, I don't know. It's what we gave off, but I think people think when you're nice to a person, that if a man is being nice to a woman and a woman's being, and you're like cutting at each other, that it would be
Well, it's almost like a lot of men don't associate with women
right,
unless they're
right. I guess
attracted
so.
to
Unless
them.
they're attracted, and
They
we
don't
would
have
sit,
rapport like
and I guess
that.
yeah, we would sit next to each other. Like she was comfortable like cuddling up to me because she knew there was no like
That's
that kind of
part of
stuff.
it
So
too,
yeah,
Chesko. That's definitely, if you're cuddling, yeah, I could see how
yeah,
people
and she
got
would
confused.
know I guess because of the fact that she was very aware that I was aware that there was nothing there,
Yeah. Oh, I used,
that it
yeah,
was
I've
not.
seen,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
now, but
yeah.
yeah, I used to be cuddly with people, but only if I
Mhm.
knew that they really
That
understood,
was not
like,
it.
this
Yeah.
is never, although the crazy thing is, even as a lesbian, you could say, I'm gay, and they're like, okay, wink.
Uh-huh.
Sure you
Right.
are, wink.
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, God. You know what we could talk about that's on, did you hear what happened at the baseball game?
No, the baseball game?
No, but hold on, I have to look it up. With the
Okay.
heckling?
No.
You didn't hear about this? Oh
No.
my God, I'm raging over it.
I've
What
been
else is new?
I was also if this happened
Okay,
within the past 7 days,
hold on, I have to
I
find it.
so while you're looking this up, so yeah, the past day I have been finding out everything that happened over the past week because I was at multiple conferences for reproductive rights and VidCon and another press conference about the Dobbs decision in Arizona. And it was like I basically did not go on the internet for a week because I was so busy on those days. So there's so much that's happened. And yeah,
Talking about someone crossing lines. So, the Arizona Diamondbacks were playing the Chicago White Sox.
okay.
And do you know who Cattell Marte? Is that
Yeah.
right? You know who that is?
Hmm.
Okay, well, Cattell Marte, he lost his mother a couple years ago.
Mm.
And he was on the he was playing, and all of a sudden he gets taken aside and he's like sobbing.
Hmm.
And everyone's like, what is going on? Why is he crying? Is he injured? Like, what's up? And
Hmm.
I think he ended up getting pulled eventually. But what was happening was this motherfucking little white boy asshole entitled elitist piece of shit kid was heckling him about his dead mother, was shouting at him. Like, I've heard different takes. Somebody said that he was saying, you dumb F, your mom died, you dumb mother effer, dumb effer. I've also heard that he said something like, say hi to your mom for me. Yeah.
What? Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there is good news, in the time of only
Mhm.
bad news, the good news
Mhm.
is he's been banned from every MLB stadium.
Amazing, as he should be.
I say, oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, it was like to the point that he was sobbing. He just, so
Yeah.
I guess he just repeatedly was, and this little
Mhm.
asshole was smiling. He was with a
I
big
got
group.
him. I got
Yeah,
him.
he was
Yeah.
with, hold on, let me see if I can find.
You talk about like toxic masculinity there. The idea that you have the
Yeah.
right to do that to impress once again the people you're with.
He was with these girls, and they were all
Mhm.
like laughing, and like it's like there, he had a whole group with him who was undoubtedly laughing and hearing him say all this shit.
Nobody around him is gonna say shut the fuck up,
Uh,
dude. Like
the one voice we hear is a woman, and she was yelling, "It's fine, it's fine." He's a white boy. He has like the surfer, like kind of like
mhm.
brown hair, and he's just like smiling.
I so I'm a huge sports fan, specifically more baseball and basketball.
Hmm.
It is fascinating the toxicity of fandom about how much you're supposed to hate certain other teams and all the players on that team.
Hmm.
That is, it's as I've gotten older, it's faded so much.
Right.
So I'm a San Francisco Bay Area sports fan, right?
Okay.
And so I'm a San Francisco Giants fan, and so that means I hate the Dodgers, and I still don't like the Dodgers, but I live in LA, right?
Sure.
And so it's not like it'd be weird if I'm like just walking around angry all the time because there's Dodger stuff everywhere in Los Angeles. But it's at one point, it was a few years back. This is a recent, and now I never did anything anywhere close to this guy, but I genuinely did not like the Dodgers, right? I just did not like them.
Right.
And whenever they do well, I would be upset if a player that was on the Giants went to the Dodgers. It would like genuinely
Oh
ruin
my
my
God.
day.
Yeah.
And then finally, a couple years back, it clicked in my head. I was like, why am I so mad? But like what there's
Yeah.
no that's not fun. It's like the fun part was like rooting for my team and like the competition having a rival is fun, but like the hatred's not fun. Like why but it's that's such an inherent part of fandom is
Hmm.
that you have to hate the other team. And when you like feed into that hate so much, shit like this is what because you this is that's not a this wasn't that surprising to me, right? Knowing what I've seen sports fans say, knowing being a member of these sports forums that I'm in,
Hmm.
people say horrific things on them constantly. I'm like hiding and block. I used to be part of a bunch of different fandom
Hmm.
forums that I just don't participate in anymore because of how toxic they get so quickly. And that's not just with sports, but it's especially bad with sports. But it was literally, it took me till later in life before I was like, why am I investing so much of my energy toward hating something that is just a fucking that I have no actual investment in. I'm not on the team. I'm not out. I'm not losing or gaining money. I'm rooting for these other millionaires to beat the other millionaires in hitting a ball better and shooting a basket better. And but it's such a weird part of it. And you see that then come out in little league games. You see that come
Hmm.
out in we mentioned I think we talked on the podcast before about like why I stopped like going playing basketball at like pickup games and stuff because that toxicity then it bleeds into all other aspects of sport. And so like even with my son, like he was doing this basketball camp that was great. It was much more about just enjoying it, etc. But like you end up seeing certain times where it's like, oh, I don't want to be a part of that because everyone there is an asshole, right? And it's because they saw their father. Usually, maybe sometimes moms too, like the women in that clip are very clearly examples of this, but like where that are being assholes and like, oh, that's how you sport, right? That's how you do this. And so now you'll see second graders and third graders being assholes because that's how they've seen their parent acting at that way. And so I think we need to be more cognizant of that aspect and like question why are we doing this, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't have this confirmed,
Hmm.
but allegedly, like sports betting may have been involved. And
Hmm.
some people were saying that this was somebody who, like, this was may have had to do with like putting money on games and trying
Hmm.
to throw
Mm.
throw one of the players. And I guess there was another, I don't know if it was gymnastics or something, but there was
Hmm.
another case of heckling where they were purposely trying to get I know that it was a woman athlete, but they were
Hmm.
purposely trying to get her to falter by saying crazy shit to her
Wow.
so she would perform poorly. And like how this may be a part of like sports betting culture and how bad it
Hmm.
is that now
Hmm.
like not just like trying to throw games or impact the game in one way or another, but also the rage and hate and
Hmm.
anxiety that goes on when large amounts of money are on the line for these games and how out of control like the culture has gotten.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I think we're just regardless of that, like whether he had money on the line or not, like to be laughing about making a man cry over the loss of his mother. Like I just can't imagine being so unempathetic and so entitled and so subhuman in your behavior to want to do that. Like to get joy from breaking a person who's just trying to play the sport that you've paid to go see. It's like you would never be out there, Chad. Like, Chad, you don't have the skill level to be there. You don't have the skill to participate, but you get off on the fact that you can have some impact because you'll never have it any other way than being disgusting. Like, that's
Hmm.
the only way you can be involved in the game at all. So
Hmm.
you're choosing to be so hateful because you realize that your significance in this arena is literally zero,
Hmm.
other
Well,
than
yeah,
that.
I will say I do think the majority is not this way, right? You know, but
Right. Sure, sure.
there's enough of them that it ruins it for the majority, right? That ruins it for like when a player gets injured,
Yeah.
like for the most part, most people in the audience are like, oh, like that's
Right.
his livelihood, that sucks.
Yeah.
Whatever sport that we want to see is better, but there will always be a few assholes that are like, yeah, woo, all excited about it.
But you have to think like I under I guess I don't. I'm not into sports very much or
Hmm.
at all. But regardless of that, like, this guy has to be a piece of shit outside of the arena.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way this guy isn't a horrible human being. Like, you know, I think we take these incidents as like, you know, one-offs, and we don't think about like the bigger picture of that. This dude is an asshole. I guarantee this is not the only person he's been a jerk to. Like, to do so freely and think it's hilarious. Like, this guy is like this out and about in his real life. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely emblematic or symptomatic. I don't know, one of those words of who they
It's an
actually are as a
addict for
person.
sure.
We saw, I remember I did I studied aspects of this with my thesis on World of Warcraft, where about like back then it was like this doesn't apply to anything, and now you can see it applicable to so many things, but like the idea of the person they are online is not the person they are in real life, right? Well, I don't know, good people aren't using the N-word to call, like calling like bosses the
Jesus.
N-word in these games. It was just, and that was my whole point. I was like, where do we draw the line? Right. And I think there are certain things that need to be reined in, because but the people that were doing it would argue, oh no, that's just how I am when I play games. I wouldn't say that. My character was saying that, right? The idea as if they're in a Broadway musical that they're the
Yeah,
characters,
right.
the racist, all right?
Right.
or
That's
something
like
that.
in Split. Did you ever see Split from M. Night Shyamalan? There's a character with multiple personality or DID, dissociative identity disorder, as it's called now. And something happens, and then it's a different character. And he goes, "That wasn't me. That was Patricia." And then people were using this meme for like anytime they did something wrong, they're like, "That wasn't me. That was Patricia."
Right.
That's like how it is. They're like, "That wasn't me." And
I
it's
didn't do
like,
that. That's just how I get when I play sports. I'm really competitive.
yeah, I just, you know, talk about people's dead mothers. Like,
Get over it.
I have always hated that idea. I have always hated even like certain like writers who would write. I remember that in college, like guys would write horrible shit. Like horrible, like bad, really bad things happening to women or like whatever, and be like, well, that's not who I am. Like there was one time this kid wrote this like fantasy about a school shooting, and it was a big deal because like he used real names and stuff. It was super creepy and scary, and the admin did get involved at that point. But it's like, okay, but why do you want to do it? Why are you spending hours doing these behaviors? Like, I don't believe that they're not linked. Like, if you spend your free time being horrible to other people,
Right.
then there is something about you that enjoys being horrible.
No, it's I think there, and like, is there nuance to this conversation? Sure, but not when it comes to like when you're talking about the extremes, which is what we're referring to
Right.
here. I don't think there is that much nuance. I think it's just people are using it as an excuse. Oh, perfect example. This reminds me of like whenever this happened recently with I made a video about this, that Brendan Abernathy guy, that you'll be married in a year in the summer, right? But you see this with all sorts of things. A lot of people were mocking him for were things that are common stims with autistic people. But they clearly weren't saying, oh, this guy's autistic, this guy's blah blah blah, like him going on his tiptoes and doing all sorts of things.
Sure.
And you see this with whenever if a black man does something that is wrong, people are like, people who have never spoken up about other people doing it are like, here's my chance to be racist in a
Yes.
socially acceptable way. Here's my chance to be ableist in a socially acceptable way. When a woman does something that you saw this with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, where like, here's my chance to be
100%.
openly sexist and like talk about how horrific women are
Yep.
in this thing, but in a way where people are gonna be like, no, it's okay, because I'm not talking about women.
Talking
I'm
with this
talking about
woman.
this woman.
That was like there was a heavy set woman who had oxygen, and it was a clapping video. It was like clap for ICE doing their job. And obviously I am 10,000% not for that video.
Right.
I almost said wanting to hit her in the face. I can't say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. But and it was a grotesque video. It was like getting joy at like this horrific,
At the expense of others.
I mean, horrific things, families getting torn apart, you know. Anyways, but I would say 80% of the
Hmm.
comments I saw were just fat phobic things.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
really like taking a pig's head and putting the oxygen
Right.
tank, or like saying like they would crush her oxygen. And
Hmm.
um as much as I disagree with her, and I could tell her exactly why, it seemed to be an outlet for a lot of people to say some really disturbing fat
Hmm.
phobic shit. Like, her
Hmm.
size has nothing to do with the hatred in her heart and what's disgusting about her.
Hmm.
And like, it's just interesting to your point. I mean, I saw a lot of, right wing blonde skinny girls doing the
Hmm.
same shit, using the same audio, mind you.
Hmm.
Um, and getting not at all the same feedback. I mean, definitely
Hmm.
people were against it, but they
Right.
weren't
Right.
they weren't like trashing um
Or looks.
them that way.
So,
And like
mhm.
I 100% agree that she should have backlash, and I 100% agree she got it on her business stuff. People found that.
Mhm.
And I think, hey, if you want to be public with that take, then you
Mhm.
receive the backlash. And I think it's justified. I agree
Mhm.
with that. But it is crazy to see like the way that they come
Mhm.
and the way it gets so hateful so fast in an area that I don't think it needs to be. I mean, it's the same thing as Lily Tino, which we've talked about before. She posts content I don't agree with. I do not like
Mhm.
her content. And
Mhm.
yet what happens a lot is it turns into these horrific transphobic
Right.
conversations
Right.
and using her to fuel transphobia.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to see how horrible people are willing to be if
Mhm.
they perceive they have the right to be. Like for Lily Tino, they're like, oh, she's doing something bad, so I can
Mhm.
be transphobic. Or,
Mhm.
the woman, it was like, oh, well, she's likes ice, so I can be fat phobic. And then the guy
Mhm.
at the game is like, well, it's a game,
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah,
a game that I'm a
I'm
fan.
allowed
I
to
can
do that.
heckle.
He's on the enemy team.
Yeah, I can heckle
Yeah.
how I want.
Because people don't think about the fact, and this is where the whole point of this is that when you're making fun of an attribute that is not directly related to anything they're saying
Hmm.
or the point they're making or the thing that makes them horrible,
Hmm.
you're forgetting the fact that there's a lot of other good people, not saying any bad people with that should also be heckled for that, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that you do like who have done nothing wrong, who you're also then mocking,
Hmm.
who you're also then like who are seeing how much you hate them, and that the only reason that you're not openly mocking them is because you agree with them, right? The
Well,
only reason, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and you also like, I think so many of them wouldn't be mocking them at all if it
Hmm.
weren't for the other things. Like they're using that as the gateway into it. But
Hmm.
like,
But I
there's so
do think
many.
it does
Go
it
ahead.
does like expose a lot of their beliefs that they don't say out loud because they know it's not
Yes.
socially acceptable to. So I do think they do think these things, right? It's
That's
exposed.
yes, I
It's
mean.
yeah. Oh,
It's
okay,
like
okay.
the gateway, meaning like
Right.
I have whatever these people have. They have fat phobic beliefs, okay?
Hmm.
They have those already. Then they
Hmm.
have someone who is heavy set doing something bad.
Hmm.
Oh, that's the gateway in. Now I
Right.
can just unload all of these hateful beliefs and
Hmm.
feel morally right.
Right.
And yeah, I mean there's nuance to it. I mean,
Hmm.
a lot of people, like when you're people do drag people who are terrible people for different
Hmm.
reasons, but I think it is important to recognize like what are you attacking them for, and
Hmm.
how would someone feel who is not bad in that way,
Hmm.
seeing that part of them be so
Right.
roughly described, or like.
Well, I made videos about Caitlyn Jenner years ago
Mhm.
about why they're like, well, is it okay if I misgender Caitlyn Jenner? No,
No.
I think Caitlyn Jenner is a fucking monster. It doesn't matter that but she is a
Yeah.
monster, right? It's because
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with her gender,
Yeah.
right? Her identity markers are not what makes her a monster. And
Hmm.
also it's such an easy thing to grab onto
Yeah.
and mock. It's like what that's nothing. There's so many when they're doing so many bad things. Even Trump is a great example. Like where
Hmm.
like the about him being fat, like the fact that like he gets a lot of fat comments, and
Hmm.
he's a fucking monster. There's so many other horrible things you could grab onto and make fun of that man about
Truly, you
that
got
aren't
it.
going to also mock every other person that is
Yeah.
is a larger size at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're just having an awareness of
Yeah,
what we attack, how we attack
yeah.
it,
And no one's
and the
perfect.
impact. Yeah.
We
I mean,
we've all made mistakes and said something for like, oh fuck, that was
I regret that.
yeah, that was all right.
But you know what? I have never called the lawyer honey. So
No, yet. No, a judge, honey, right?
Oh, what I say? Oh, yeah.
A lawyer, yeah.
I've never called the judge honey.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, friends, have we talked long enough?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
I think we're good.
I think everyone's fucking done with us at this point.
Okay, friends. Well, that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please, please, please check out our Patreon. We do an episode every week. It's unhinged. Yeah.
A lot of this episode is actually pretty similar to what our Patreon is normally like, where we share stuff that really has nothing to do with what we plan on talking about.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of stories today. We only got through one of 3 videos, so there you go. Whoops.
We're going to do a smorgasbord of videos for you. One video later.
We told some good stories, though.
We
That
did.
school speech story, that is prime.
There we
That's
go.
wild. If any of you are listening to the 3, you need to apologize.
I forgive you.
I don't. I'm pissed. I'm horrified. Anywho, thanks, friends, for listening. As I said, check out the Patreon. Check out our socials. We have a YouTube channel if you want to see our faces when we do these episodes. We
Ugh.
have we have an Instagram, TikTok, our personal TikToks. And other than that, friends, we will see you next week.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
I got some good advice for you.